How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading when the price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we did pretty much get our full break up, so remember this could end up pulling back. We are seeing this pump up ahead of crypto. Usually they are inversely related like we are seeing today. So if this does end up pulling back and rejecting our 300 EMA, that black line here on our EMA band from Market Cipher A, remember, we cover how to get these in Mastering the Trade, Market Cipher A and B. So click that link, find those videos. It's one of the last few videos. They're about 5 minutes long. But momentum is pushing forward. It is starting to look like it's struggling, though, as that VWAP, our yellow wave, is pulling back. If that yellow wave breaks that neutral, our blue wave, our momentum, will round away, and then money flow can go from green into the red, and we could see further bearish pressure. We do have a gap below us, a little micro gap here. Remember, gaps do have an 80% likelihood to fill, and we have a slight one back here and here. So we have a couple downside gaps that could end up filling and making us drop. If we continue seeing inverse relationship, that would be positive. Over on the 1 hour, we could have a rising channel here, so we'll draw that out with our parallel channel tool. So the highs and lows do connect in a pretty straight line, so this would be our second attempt to break forward. We did not break down on the third touch to the bottom, but we did not break up and hold on the third touch to the top. So I would watch. If we break that support level, it's likely we could continue lower and invalidate any kind of bullish scenario. Remember, rising channels do end up breaking you down. Usually you do see the breakdown after the third touch. So we did not see that. We did try to push up, but we did not break out. We would need to hold these EMA bands if we're going to continue further and break away from our channel. Our stochastic is falling, momentum is rounding, that VWAP is favoring bearish, so watch for that to continue. If it continues, momentum will lead money flow lower and price action will start to sell off. Again, with the inverse relationship, that could be positive for crypto. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we do have a long lower shadow candle, which shows that the bears tried to drop us. All that means is total tried to run against Bitcoin, but total did not run against it. So we saw altcoins lose while futures gained. So that is why dominance is increasing. Our stochastic is pushing forward. RSI is gaining strength. Momentum is pushing forward. VWAP is bullish and money flow is well into the green. So we could see this continue. We are at all-time high though, so I would exercise caution. Or at least compare our cycle high for now. So over on total for the daily, we are seeing a bit of a rejection. We did hold in our golden pocket, so watch how this plays out. If we hold here and then we see a bounce, we could get higher highs with higher lows to try to push us away and bounce forward. That would be the bullish scenario. We did hold that 602, so watch for a green candle next. This is an indecision candle, so if we get a strong green candle, we do have the potential to break away from the bear market channel and push above that golden pocket zone. Again, more on that in the Mastering the Trade series. Our stochastic does want to pull back. Momentum is rounding. VWAP is breaking down. Hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. And money flow is pulling back. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are seeing a little bit of a round here as well. So again, exercise caution. Remember, we do have the 54 and 57K gaps. Our momentum does want to round. VWAP is pulling back. Stochastic does want to make a break. So watch that as the orange is getting above blue, which gives us a bearish cross. RSI is starting to pull back. VWAP does want to break down, and money flow is trying to break bullish, but I would watch that VWAP. If it continues lower, we could end up breaking away despite our higher highs with higher lows. This low is a little bit lower, but compared to here and here, we do have higher highs with higher lows. I would watch for these to connect though. If they do end up connecting, we could try to make a rising channel, and remember, a rising channel would break you down, and a rising channel this size would be a pretty significant breakdown. That could end up pushing us down around that 58K zone, which would be just shy of that gap. So if we do pull back, make a bounce, we could still push forward, make a 70K hit, and then we could end up retracing. That would be the third touch to the top. Remember, after the third touch to the bottom, you would get your breakdown. So if we do not break down here, you would watch if we can hold above 70K. If we could invalidate this pattern like we said on Dixie. But if we do end up breaking down here, that would push us down a little bit lower. So if you move this down, kind of see the trajectory, kind of big long curve. So kind of estimate right around there. That could push us closer to the 54. So I would pay close attention here. Our stochastic does want to pull back. RSI is starting to weaken. Momentum is rounding. VWAP is pulling back, and that money flow is bullish. But if that VWAP breaks down, that money flow can go from green to red still. Over on the 1 hour, we are seeing lower highs with lower lows. They do not look too straight, so this may not be a bearish consolidation. So this is a descending channel, so they are pretty connected. So this is a descending channels do break you forward. How's it going, Fox the Baller? Sorry, I saw that in the corner of my eye, got distracted. But this is a descending channel. Descending channels do push you forward. Remember, more on that on Mastering the Trade. We cover these basic patterns. What you want to watch for is a breakout, a retest of the top of the pattern, and then that would be your cue to get in. If we make a significant bounce, you could see it play out here. So we are approaching the third touch to the top. This would be where you would want to break out. So you would want to watch for that over the next few hours. If we do not break out here, we could continue to trend down. And if we make a lower low that does not connect very well, then we could see more of a bearish continuation that could break us lower. Our VWAP does currently have lower highs, so I would keep an eye on that. Momentum does have higher lows, though. That momentum is gaining strength, so if VWAP does stay bullish, our money flow can continue into the green, and we do still have potential to strengthen higher time frames. Again, watch for the bounce. Over on Bitcoin, we would see similar action here, but we did have a bearish channel that we did break out. We did warn of that in our Discord. So our stochastic is rounding, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding, VWAP is pulling back, money flow is in the green. So we do look positive on the daily, but watch those lower time frames. If they start to break away, we could end up breaking down. So I would exercise caution there. Over on the 1 hour here, we do have that rejection. So we got that full breakdown. We're going to delete this now that you've seen that. We got our full breakdown. We did mention that last night and in the Discord as well. So make sure you're subscribed and you join that Discord, but we are starting to push down in more of a consistent manner. Remember, this is a descending channel that could try to push us up if the highs and lows continue to connect. Stochastic does want to push up. VWAP is trying to gain strength. Momentum is pushing forward, so this could try to make us retest 68K. We would want to break and hold that 68K if we're going to continue further toward that bigger breakup. Our stochastic is pushing forward. RSI is gaining strength. So that is positive for us, but we need that VWAP to stay bullish here. Over on graph for the 2 hour, we are starting to round away, testing that support level, so I would exercise caution. This could end up breaking us down. This could be some sort of a goofy shoulder, head, shoulder, maybe a slanted one that could end up breaking us away. That could be an attempted breakdown. You could exclude that. Remember, some TA can be more of an art form. Not every pattern needs to look textbook. Our stochastic is starting to round away. We do have that orange above blue. This is a bearish cross. RSI is pulling back. Momentum is starting to push down with the red dot, and that VWAP is breaking bearish. So if that VWAP stays in the bearish territory here, momentum will continue lower, signaled by that red dot, and that will bring money flow lower, giving us further bearish momentum. So over on the 1 hour, we did break and reject that 300 EMA, but we're trying to hold this 16,316. Remember, if we do not hold this, then we could see a further push down toward that 15,833 area, and then we have that 14,316. Our stochastic does want to round. RSI is starting to pull back. That VWAP does have a lower high, so watch for a break in a lower low. If we see that, momentum will remain bearish, money flow will remain bearish, and those higher time frames will continue to break down. This could be some sort of a straight channel if I can get that parallel channel tool. So there we do have a descending channel. We did have 3 touches to the bottom and 3 touches to the top. We're kind of staying in this channel, so I would exercise caution. It could be a little shot, but it does have the potential to make us rebound. That would be providing that VWAP can stay bullish though. So over on Ankr for the daily, we are testing that support. We did wick down. We did break that point in control of our fixed range volume profile. So remember, more on that in the Mastering the Trade. If we cannot hold that point control, it's likely we would push down toward our value area low, which is also around that 2338 support level. Our stochastic is pulling back. RSI is starting to sell off. That VWAP does want to break down. Momentum is rounding with a red dot. So I would exercise caution. If that VWAP breaks bearish and holds, we could see momentum break down and start to weaken that money flow, which would show we have further selling pressure on those higher time frames. So over on the 1 hour, we love our gaps here on Ankr. We have a big gap to the upside, but we also have one to the downside. So we have equal probability of pushing up and down. Remember, if we do fill the higher gap, then that gives us a higher chance of snapping down and continuing bearish momentum though. Our stochastic does want to start to round. RSI is starting to lose strength. Yeah, altcoins aren't looking too great. Bitcoin dominance, we covered. Dominance isn't looking too much better because Bitcoin did lose as well, but futures and other things are helping push that dominance up right now. Our stochastic does want to round. That RSI is starting to pull back as well, so watch as that stochastic could bring RSI lower, which would cause price to reject. So again, watch for a push up. If we get that push up, we could make higher lows, or lower highs, sorry, with lower lows. So remember, we could push up, fill our first gap, reject, and fill our second gap. That would be how we would get that lower high. This would be a high, then we would have a high around here, and then we would break for another low, potentially continuing beyond that gap, giving us that lower low. So watch this very close. That VWAP is getting higher highs. We do have higher lows here, so that is a bullish trend that can continue to push us up. But remember, if we do continue bullish momentum, leaving gaps behind, we do have a chance to break down. So over on XRP for the daily, stochastic does want to round. RSI is starting to pull back. That VWAP is in a bullish trend with higher highs and higher lows, pushing momentum higher and keeping money flow flat. If that momentum can continue up, that money flow will start to gain some strength, providing lower time frames can push forward. Over on the 1 hour, we just love breaking that 300 EMA, so we did try to run up above it, and we didn't stay above for too long. We did see several hours where we pushed up, but that VWAP did remain more bearish despite us pushing forward. So that was your cue. We did get lower highs with lower lows here. Once those lower highs with lower lows started to set in, that's when price started to kind of reject. So that's why you want to watch that. Momentum does have a red dot here, so if that VWAP continues this bearish trend with those lower highs and lower lows, that momentum will continue lower. Money flow will continue to break away. We could see money flow flip into the red, and remember, if that holds, then we would see higher time frames continue to break away. So over on ALGO for the daily, we are testing the bottom of our channel like we've been warning about. This could be like a shoulder head shoulder, maybe a double top. But if it was a double top, we did not get that breakdown right away like we would have expected. This could be another one following it, like a mini one. That could start an initial breakdown. Remember, we could retest that 1116, and then I would warn against that 1032. If we break that, we could revisit all-time lows at that 896. So our stochastic is starting to round away. We do have our orange above blue, so that could continue to drop us down. RSI is starting to pull back. I didn't get the rest of your message, but I will get cast before you, Fox. Our stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI is starting to pull back as well. That VWAP does want to break down. Momentum is rounding. We do have a red dot. So that VWAP, if it holds bearish, momentum will continue lower. That will continue to push price away. And then remember, that could break us down. We do have a bullish pattern we tried to have on this lower time frame. We did have that descending channel. Remember that descending channel, you would want to watch for confirmation. So you would have expected to bounce after the third touch to the bottom. We got that here. We did bounce. We continued forward, but we rejected the 300 EMA. Rejecting the 300 EMA, we made lower highs afterwards with slightly lower lows. That created a bit of a bearish continuation, and then we did spill away from that. So you would have had wanted to watch for that break of the pattern, the bounce off the top, and a continuation for our bullish scenario to play out. So that's why waiting for confirmations on patterns is an important way to trade your patterns. We do have a gap below us, so if we do reject our blue EMA, we could end up filling that gap and continuing lower, so pay close attention here. Our VWAP does want to pull back. Momentum is running forward though, because that VWAP has higher highs and higher lows. If that VWAP can continue to push up, momentum will start to push that money flow into the green, and if that can hold, we can continue further. But again, I would warn against that happening because that would leave a gap to the downside, which could fill at some point. So over on DAG for the daily, we do have the lower highs with consistent lows, so this could be a bearish pattern called a descending triangle. So you have that descending slope, and then you have this flat bottom that I did not draw in the proper spot. We'll pull that down, and then you would measure from top to bottom. That would be your pole, so you would apply that to the bottom. That would give you your breakdown point of 11,940. So we did mention that was a possibility in that range. Our stochastic is starting to pull back, RSI is starting to weaken, that VWAP is holding bearish, momentum is starting to push down with lower lows and lower highs. So if that VWAP continues to favor bearish, momentum and money flow will continue to pull back, and price does have the chance of seeing that breakdown. Again, you would watch for a breakdown, a retest of the bottom, and then a rejection if you were to buy some sort of a short. Not financial advice, that's just how you would trade. Remember, there's an equal chance that we just spill out and dump down. So over on the 1 hour, kind of hard to get the candles to look pretty decent in our pattern, so we'll look at just the tip. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is starting to pull back. Oh, okay, we can do TIA instead. VWAP is starting to kind of stagnate here, so I would watch that VWAP. That VWAP, if it continues to stagnate, it could start to pull back. Momentum would then start to remain in the bearish territory, starting to get a lower high, and then money flow would remain in the red, and that would give us that possibility to reject EMAs, making lower highs, and a potential lower low to break away. So, oops, did not hit the right key, so TIA, USDT will go with. So over on the daily over here, we can draw a fixed range volume profile. So we do have this range in here. So that's where I'm going to draw a profile from the beginning to the end. So we do have a value area high, a point control, and a value area low. Again, if you're not familiar, visit that link in the Mastering the Trade. I will take the setting. So we'll go into settings and we will try to push this back. I forget how. I haven't really set these very often. Most of the time I do set them, forget them. So you can right click, don't know if you saw that, I did visual order, and you can do send backward or send to the back. If you do send to back, everything else will be in front of it and easier to see, like your EMA lines. So we are seeing a rejection of that value area high. We do have a potential to continue to the point of control next, but we do have an indecision candle that could help push us forward here depending on lower time frames. Our momentum does want to round. We do have a red dot, so watch that VWAP. If that VWAP breaks down, that momentum will continue to drop and money flow will break just after crossing into the green. So this is a kind of critical area to watch. We did cross bullish, but it does look like we are trying to struggle here. And remember, if the rest of our altcoins break down, it's likely this would as well. So we do have a potential lower high. I would watch as our lows don't connect, so we do not have a descending channel here. If you kind of draw it out, this would be like a breakaway. So if you consider that as part of our current trend, the highs and lows do not connect in a very strong manner. You could consider it a freak breakdown if you want. So you could say this is your first touch, this is your second touch, and we are making our second touch to the top. If that's the case, you would watch for another push down and an attempt to break forward, but I would warn against a bearish continuation here. Our stochastic does look like it wants to gain some strength though, so that is important. If that stochastic can cross and hold, we can continue forward. We do have a higher high here, so if we can set a higher low above our EMA band, then we could continue to run above our band, just like we did back here. Our VWAP is starting to cross into the bearish territory though, so that VWAP crossing bearish could bring momentum lower. That money flow is bearish as well, so I would watch that VWAP. If that VWAP continues to reject here, we could continue to see momentum weaken, money flow would continue to bleed, and we would end up retesting our 300 EMA. Then if we lost that EMA, we could break down. However, if that VWAP can scoop up, we could make a higher low here, so that's kind of the move you want to watch for. If that VWAP can make a higher low, we could break back into bullish territory, see another significant wave like this that would keep momentum in the bullish territory and bring money flow higher. If that were to sustain, we could get higher highs with higher lows to give us a bullish trend. So you do want to watch for a bounce here, or at least a bounce off the 300 EMA if we do lose this range. Thank you all for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night.